Shelby and Kristina, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. This is going to be a real pleasure for me because you guys are going to be fun. I can just tell already.
We like to bring the fun, Ed.
Is that what it is? The fun?
The fun, the party.
The fun and the funny.
Yeah.
I mean, objectively, but.
So for people who don't know you, you're Shelby Dash and Kristina
Clifford, like the big red dog.
Oh, okay. So that's really easy. Now, if I were, and bear with me here, as we were talking, I had COVID, so not the best brain these days. Give me another week. Were you guys comedians ahead of time before? Stand up or anything?
We were comedic actresses. We also did a little bit of stand up, a little bit of improv. So that whole scene.
Right. Well, no, I thought that's what I read, and that's a great thing. Did you want to do a skit real quick? Did you want to do a skit real quick? No, it's good.
Sure. Well, that's how we met, and we learned that the other is very funny, and we're like, okay, we want to collaborate, and so we did, and we started making comedy videos for several years, and at a certain point, we were kind of like, gosh, we're tired. We need to get paid for this.
So you were doing it for fun. But you weren't getting paid for it. Oh, okay.
Exactly. And so we were putting all the time and effort in and learning how to edit ourselves and do all these things. And then also doing our day job. So when the pandemic hit, it was kind of a blessing in disguise. We kind of just went full force into making ads for brands and businesses with a comedy twist. And since we had all the tools for production and writing and editing, we just applied that to what we're doing now.
All right. So when you started during the pandemic, did you have a client, or you just was like, okay, we're going to make this and send it to them and see what they think?
Well, we had done
because I don't know your whole story, neither. So come on, tell me the story.
Yeah. So, she kind of gave you the rundown, but like she said, we were doing content just for fun. And then we had gotten approached by a couple small brands during that time. Like, hey, you want to make a video for us? And we were like, we would do it, but we weren't actively seeking work. And then when we lost our jobs during the pandemic, we started reaching out to, ad agencies and businesses. And our first client was a YouTube ad agency in Sweden, and they gave us a lot of recurring work. And then from there, it just kind of spread like wildfire.
Yeah, we didn't actually start our business till after that ad agency client. And the more we did it, the more we're like, okay, I think we're pretty good at this. Why aren't we expanding? Why aren't we seeking out other clients? And so we're kind of a baby company. We started our LLC last year, near the end of last year. So it's been a big learning curve in terms of the business side of things. But we've had a lot of fun so far.
Mm-hmm. All I have to do is hire people to handle all that for you. Just do the fun part.
That's the goal.
If I give you any advice at all, get a fractional CFO, fractional accountant, fractional bookkeeper, get all those people to take over all that stuff. You guys just do what you're good at. And the sooner you get there, the better you'll be. All right. It took me years to get there to understand that I should only talk to clients and not actually touch the paperwork.
Right. Yes, that is sound advice. Ed.
Yeah, definitely.
We need
and the thing about the pandemic, yes, it was unfortunate for a lot of people, but there's a lot of people it really helped. It helped me to do all the different podcasts I do, all the different lives I do, all that type of stuff, which I never would have done if I wouldn't have been in my house or now stuck in my office or whatever. And the only way to communicate was this kind of stuff.
100%. I think it gave a lot of people the time to really think about, what am I doing? Do I like what I'm doing? Am I happy? And I think for a lot of us, that kind of sparked all these new avenues.
Totally.
So what are you guys looking for now? I mean, because you have the first company was a Sweden company. Did you have to have an accent for that, or was it just
No, they were out of Sweden, but they worked with a lot of global brands and brands based in the US. So they did not ask us to speak Swedish, thankfully. But yeah, since then we've done work for everyone from influencers looking for consistent content, and then the brand themselves sometimes will hire us to do their content, which that's kind of our favorite, I think, like our favorite type of relationship. It's nice to have that one-on-one relationship with the client and that direct communication, especially if they trust you and they'll let you kind of play around. So I think that's kind of the direction that we are interested in moving towards.
And what type of client is that? I mean, and what I should say, product is that we're talking about?
Yeah, for example, the one
I mean, do you have that? Like, we only want to deal with, please, I'm going to be sexist first, purses and shoes. I'm just joking. But
we resonate with those more, definitely.
We want to buy those more, but
yeah.
I have a wife. I understand. All right.
Well, definitely like female oriented products would be great for us. But the one that I was thinking of is actually a pet product, a pet brand product. So I guess they skew a little bit more female, but they also are trying to bring in a male audience. So we don't really discriminate in terms of that. But I think sometimes it helps to have that we're women and we have that advantage, whereas a lot of guys out there doing videography or making video content are probably not in touch with what women want to see in an ad.
Yeah, and also with the comedy aspect, we resonate towards the products that can kind of go there. Maybe they're a little quirkier. Maybe it's, talking about poop. But those types of things really allow us to go outside the box. And we're trying to encourage more, straight-laced brands and businesses to kind of do the same thing, because there's so much opportunity for that. And a lot of times those clients don't want to take the risks when we think the risks are well worth the reward in that respect, because comedy is so relatable. People love it. People gravitate towards it. And they say when people buy things, it's from an emotional response.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like comedy hits that relatability factor and you can immediately connect, and that digs into the emotional.
Totally.
Yeah, I totally agree. People usually only buy for two reasons, pain or pleasure. And so usually it's preferred the pleasure part than out of pain, because that's usually when you waited too long to do what you needed to do. So you talked about a dog product. Can you talk about that, what that commercial was?
Yeah, it's actually a cat product.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
And I'm allergic to cats, and it was a real adjustment for me.
I love cats. I'm a cat lover. I love dogs too. I love all animals.
That's all right. We lost you at the cat person.
Yeah. I'm a cat lady. But yeah, it was a cat litter brand that really kind of let us
take the reins.
Take the reins and have fun. And usually what we do when we are talking to a new client or a returning client is we brainstorm a bunch of fun ideas. We don't judge ourselves. We throw anything and everything at the wall.
Stupider the better.
Dumber the better. And then when we have, say, our top 3 to 5, we present them to the client. We do like a full show for them. And then that particular client really let us, there was no sort of like, oh, I don't know if we want to go there, or that feels a little risky, or there was none of that. They were like, let's do it. Let's go. We want to see what you guys can do.
All right. So it was a cat product. What was the cat product? Oh, you said litter, right? Litter.
Yes. Yeah. So the concept that I think this is probably maybe their top video right now, I would say on YouTube. But the whole concept was turning a cat lady into a cat goddess. So, and she's kind of living in this fantasy world where, that cat lady stigma is completely erased. And it's just like super, super goofy, super fun, super, what's the word? Like stylized.
Poppy.
Gotcha. So you related to the Shelby, right? Being the cat lady.
I am a cat goddess. What are you talking about, Ed?
Hey, gotta have fun. Otherwise it's not worth it. Right. All right. So basically you'll take anything and then just make an amazing, funny video out of it, right? That makes sense to what but go a little bit more. Yeah. Push it one way. Yeah.
I mean, definitely want to make sure the video highlights what the product is, like what the message is, what's the tone of the brand, like all that needs to be super duper clear. And honestly, the first 5 to 10 seconds. So we what we do is we have like an idea for a video, and then we brainstorm like, I want to say 5 to 6 hooks, which is what we call the attention grabber. And it's usually something that's unexpected, because comedy lives in the unexpected. It's the element of surprise that makes people laugh. And and we follow the rule of threes in comedy, which is super important.
All right, stop right there. All right, so
Yeah.
I know the hook, the education or whatever part of it, and the call to action part of a thing. What are the 3 C's of comedy that the rest of us don't know?
Well, I don't know. C's.
See,
C, you said C's, right? You said
There's some-
C's or D's?
There's some C's in there.
No, you said the 3 something of
Oh
comedy.
yeah, the rule of three.
The rule of
So
three.
it's
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So it's initiation, repetition, and variation. So it takes 2 to make a pattern. So you make a pattern with the 2, and then it's broken with the 3rd. So like 1, 2, 3, pineapple. That's the surprise. And you can do that with dialogue. You can do it visually. There are many different ways you can follow the rule of threes. What did I say?
It's on the Three Stooges thing.
Oh, well, we always talk about like Charlie Chaplin or the Three Stooges. Like it's everywhere in those where, he grabs the door to try to open it. It's locked. He grabs it again. It's locked. And the 3rd time he grabs it and he hits himself in the face and falls over, and it's a whole thing. So that's kind of like, if you watch comedies or commercials, you'll find them everywhere.
Right. The way you said it, the rule of 3 is what I meant. I'm sorry. What you said.
Yeah.
It was just, you were like, you got to follow the rule of 3, blah, blah, blah. And the rest of us, everybody's going, what is the rule of 3 or whatever the 3? Yeah. So I was like, I know the other, because my background is I have a bachelor's in marketing and a master's in international business and marketing. Not that means anything anymore. But the issue is it's funny because a lot of times people say, okay, you got to have a hook on your thing. You got to have some type of education or wherever you're trying to get apart, and the call to action. That's on everything. Right. That's no matter what you're doing. You got to have that. You got to have all that in whatever you're doing. And it's different when it's a shorter video. So your videos are what, 30 seconds, a minute?
It actually really depends. We kind of run the gamut. We love specifically working with YouTube ads, and YouTube ads actually run quite a bit longer. They can be anywhere from like 2 to 10 minutes probably. So
I've never done a 10-minute ad though.
We've never done a 10-minute ad. Whoo, Lordy. But yeah, usually we live in that like between 2 and 5 minutes. But we also do like TikTok, stuff like that for people that's much way shorter.
And the shorter is usually the better.
This old guy knows TikTok because I'm on there. So I have so they've pushed me into doing those things,
Good.
We need to be better about I love to watch TikToks, but I need to be better about like making my own for fun.
The problem with TikTok, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, ladies first.
The problem with TikTok, at least for me personally, is because you have to edit on the platform, or they prefer you to edit on the platform. I feel like it limits you in so many things within editing what you shot. So
you're right, but you don't have to. You can upload the video.
Yeah, totally.
And that's basically what I do. I upload the video.
Oh,
and then what I do with that is then I take that same one and re-upload it to YouTube for a short.
Yeah.
So you can utilize it a couple different ways. And I say I do, but I haven't edited on there.
The thing is, I feel like the TikTok punches you if you don't use their system.
But people say they prefer you too.
But I think what they do, but you can do so much more using their system, like adding this little thing in here and adding this thing here, and which you normally wouldn't be able to do. But I just do a straight talk. I don't really do a lot of that other stuff because basically what happened a long time ago, I was at an event. Do you guys know Steve Sims? Steve D. Sims?
That's so funny. Someone just told us about him.
Yeah. Someone just recommended us him.
Oh, well. I can second that. Anyway, he does. He's doing a speakeasy in New York in a couple of weeks, and basically a couple of speakeasies ago, two people. So they were asking everybody to fill out who helped them the most at the event. Well, myself and this other guy, Rob, won, and we're both looking at each other. How the fuck did we win? We know, right? Yes, we're nice to everybody. If you need something, go ahead. But we don't think about going out of our way to help people. We just were.
Yeah.
So it was a Tiffany's ice bucket. It has Steve Sims' face underneath the bottom that he had etched in there. And inside of it was these nuggets that you pulled out, and it was quotes basically. So when he sent it to me, because there was no way I could fly back with it, he had all that in there. So I started reading them out of that bucket every day, and I was putting it on just Facebook for a while. And then I started going, okay, this is a great idea to pull out questions for everything I'm doing each day. One question about really, that people, because we Google and see what happens and what people are asking about, and we put them in there and pull them out each day. And I explain that part.
I love that. That's so fun.
And I got a little behind on it, but basically that's the plan again,
Yeah.
COVID,
I feel like having that like niche system when it comes to either Instagram or TikTok is imperative. Yeah.
I guess it's just to get more and more people to, follow you and like what you're doing and that kind of stuff, because I had somebody take over my social media. I know we're here to talk about you, but I had somebody take over my social media, and I only had 300 people on Instagram, and they started doing this whole this pattern thing on there. I'm up to 30,000 now. So, and that was 8 months. So
that gives the secret, if you will.
Well, no, it's just a matter about keeping, different content. So I do so much content. I do this podcast. I do Helping the Brave podcast, which is for veterans once you take the uniform off. I do radio show. Then I also do from the radio show, which is called Real Estate Jerky. We give you something to chew on. I do these lives. They cut up those videos for 58 seconds and they drop it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Instagram. And in between there, they do the a quote that I said or a testimonial, right? And so it's just this pattern going through all the way through in the different colors that matches. And it's just being consistent on whatever you do. And it's the same thing with your guys's commercials. You guys being consistently funny in what you're doing gets more and more people wanting to use you.
True. 100%. Yeah, I feel like it's been, I always feel like, the word of mouth is the best way to go. And the more clients we attain, we usually get repeat clients, which is a great thing. And then it's just about them telling other people, and obviously doing things like this on your podcast and different ways of outreach. I feel like, we're growing steadily.
Yes.
Well, after we're done here, I'm going to give you a name of somebody to talk to. Because he owns a huge Google ad agency and they do all the ad stuff, but they're at the point where they need somebody to do media for them, right? They don't want to bring it in house and they're looking for somebody to do it. And I think that with what you do, you guys be good at that. And that's all connected through so Steve D. Sims, he was he's actually my coach, but he's huge in make it ugly. Just do it. Don't worry about it perfect. Just get it out there. And if you meet him, you're going to go, wow. But what's nice about his speakeasy, there's 40 people in the audience. Anybody in that audience could be on stage. That's how we're all. So they keep asking me, why do you keep coming back? Well, you coach me and I get to go for free. That's one reason. The second reason is everybody in the audience I get connected to, and we do stuff together. Right. Yeah. And I get connected to do more and more and more different things with different people. And that's what it's about. It's those connections that you make through that.
Absolutely.
You're the second person to essentially say exactly that about Steve D. Sims to us.
And it's funny because that's what we always say. I mean, I know it's like a thing now about failing forward. But we had some bad videos back in the day.
Did you? Let's talk about those Edison moments, shall we?
Oh my goodness.
So the podcast about our greatest accomplishments come from our greatest defeats, right? So you learn from those videos, right? Right. Mm-hmm. So you had to do them. And that's the most important thing, is you had to do bad stuff to figure out what good stuff was. Right?
Oh my gosh. We watched some of them recently and we're like, this is so embarrassing. I can't believe this was out in the world.
This was for, just to clarify here, this was for when we were doing videos just for fun and we were just starting, not client videos.
I understand. But if I go back and listen to 4 years ago, me on radio, live radio, I can't. I was horrible. Horrible. Right? You don't know how bad you are until later, right?
Right.
Yeah. But you got to do it. You got to do it.
Mm-hmm. Where are you guys located?
We're in Los Angeles.
Okay. I'm in Northern California.
Oh, nice. Whereabouts?
Modesto.
Oh, yes. I read that. Yeah.
So I actually lived down in San Diego for over 18 years and then moved up here in 2002 and then got remarried and adopted her 3 kids. And now they're all gone, thank God. And now I'm focusing on everything else. So
they're gone from the building, or they're
from our household.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. They're on their own out in the world like they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. If you do it right, they leave. Sometimes if you do it right, they stay and you got to kick them out. But all right. So LA allows you to do so much more stuff in LA. I was talking to a gentleman and he was saying, no, it was the worst thing. And I go, no, when I lived, cause I lived in San Diego. I lived in LA for almost a year, and it's like, there's so many people there that you can connect to and do certain things.
Yeah.
Yes. Now differently as we can connect over that, through these things, but you have opportunity, and Steve actually lives down that area.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I see both sides of that coin, like the networking, obviously, like we have all our people here, we have all our crew, people we trust, and our network of actors that we use. So in that respect, yes, it's amazing. But there's also the side of it being oversaturated. It can get overwhelming. Everybody's doing the same thing you are. So I feel like in that way, it can feel compounding.
There was actually a building down there, an apartment complex that everybody lived in that was doing YouTube videos.
Oh, no, we've worked for a woman who lives in that building.
Yeah, they connected with everybody, and that's how they took off on YouTube, because they were all connected, and they would saturate each other on everybody's YouTube in that building, and they would actually try to get in that building so they could get pretty big on YouTube. I just read the story. I don't know other than that.
You know what's so funny about that? Because when we did a job for a woman that lived in that building, who actually isn't, well, she was doing a YouTube video, but she's not like a quote unquote like YouTuber. But with audio, we had to find an audio channel for the mics.
It was nearly impossible.
There were no open channels, and that never happens. Usually there's like so many open channels, and there was like maybe one.
It's all the YouTubers, all the dang YouTubers.
Yeah, and again, for people who are on YouTube, once you find your niche and who that is, it doesn't you don't need millions of followers. You don't need, and the way they do it now is they don't care how many people you have subscribed. It's about your video. And that's what I like about TikTok is the way they put it out there. It doesn't care if you have 2 followers or you have 1 million followers. Your video is at the top. If people are reacting to it, that's what's making it go viral.
Yes.
Yeah,
and if you're posting consistently.
Yes, but I'm going to tell you this. My third video for me on TikTok had a 20,000 right? Which for me, that's huge, right? It's not a million. I kept my shirt on, so there was not that many, right? And that's my problem with TikTok is I scroll through it, and please, I'm going to be rude here, but it's like tits, financial advice, tits, financial advice. And that's what
you're liking, Ed.
I don't like anything. You don't understand. That's the other thing I try to explain to people is people are like, man, no one likes my videos. No one's watched my live. No one. I go, everybody's seen it. They're just not liking it. Because do you like everything you touch? No. Right. Do you follow everybody? No. Because if you did, you could never see anything. And that's the whole thing. And there is that feature on for TikTok it just rolls the stuff through. That's not because of what you're following, like, other things. But thanks for thinking that was what it is. My wife's like, I don't get that. I'm like, well, here, you can take my phone because I don't want it.
I was going to say, that's not what I get, Ed, but okay.
No, you get the male version.
Right, probably.
I found a few shirtless men. I'm not gonna lie.
See, I told you. All right, so since we talked a little about your company and what your plan is, where are you guys planning on staying in LA for now? You're going to be moving somewhere, make it so it's cheaper to find actresses?
Yeah, I think we're planning on staying in LA for the most part, but something we did talk about is maybe with everything being so virtual now, sort of expanding into other markets. So maybe our client might be we actually just did a job for a Canadian client, but we shot it here, we cast it here, and then we deliver it to them virtually. So I think we're kind of interested in maybe reaching sort of out into other areas of the country and putting some feelers out where maybe the competition isn't so stiff, but like we can still do all the work here with our, DPs, our lighting guys, our sound guys, our cast and crew that we love. So
and not only that, but because we do more like B2C with products and things that are tangible, we're kind of trying to veer into the course of B2B and like software companies or stuff that's a little more, like I said, straight laced and quote unquote boring, that we can kind of mix it up a little bit. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're kind of try to dip into that pool.
Dip a toe.
Well, I mean, because now it's a bad time, but it'll eventually be good again. But like for mortgage companies, right? Like I own one.
Right.
Back in the day, back in the early 2000, late 19, probably 99, there was a bunch of different commercials for second mortgages on TV. And this one guy would throw a football, right? He was the jock kind of thing. And then somebody actually made a funny video commercial about that in their next video. You know what I mean? And that was the funniest one because they made fun of that guy.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, I'm the professional, you know, and other guys.
Yeah.
And so there's so much that you can do that people don't even think about. And coming from the comedy side, people are going to laugh and they're going to remember it more than anything else. Got to get that emotional thing. Every video is about being emotional, but you can only cry so much on these commercials, right? I mean,
right. I mean, yeah, it goes back to that relatability factor and, you know, seeing something that you connect with. And when there's a problem, which, you know, a product solves, when there's a problem, there's always relatability and comedy involved. And so that's our job, to try to figure out what that is and then make fun of it.
Right. And now, how are you guys, and you don't have to tell me, but basically pricing wise on a normal commercial rate? I don't know if there's a rate system or how they are, but how is that cost for you guys?
Yeah, well, it really varies project to project. Like, for example, we just did our first broadcast spot. So that's obviously going to have a much higher price point than a YouTube ad, which is going to have a much higher price point than someone's social media content. So it kind of depends on the scope of the project. But I would say with where we're at right now and where we want to go, we really try to keep budgets at 5,000 and above. So,
and that being like only me and Shelby being there on the day, running the camera, doing the sound, using our own equipment, versus a full crew with set designer, makeup, the works.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing I know about LA and there's price points for stuff that you have to do. Like this guy makes this per day because this is what, you know, is stated. And I know when I was in San Diego, a receptionist made, you know, $3,000 a month, whether she was good or not. And when I moved to Northern California, she made $1,200. So, you know, I mean, price point wide differently, and you guys' rents and mortgages and everything in LA is totally different than elsewhere. So it's going to, and I'm not saying this is a negative. I'm just saying I understand it where you're talking. So you don't have to tell me the price point. I kind of get what the costs are and that kind of stuff. And we can talk afterwards because I'm thinking of a few things that I'd like to do.
Okay. Yeah. We love any kind of input.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about for me, not for you guys. For you to do stuff for me, not to help you. Jeez, what do you think this is? For free? I'm kidding.
Ed.
No, whatever. If you, and as I, part of, if you do get connected to Steve, just the same with everybody I deal with, if you ever need anything at all, reach out to me, because I know people who, just like, you know, somebody that I might need, right? You always reach out to these people because you're amazed who you know through somebody that you didn't know. I mean, on my Inner Edison podcast, I've interviewed Rob Angel, the guy that created Pictionary. And it wasn't so much about the Pictionary for me, because I be honest with you, I don't like the game, but how he picked his business partners. And that's how we stayed on the podcast, guy, because that, for most people, you guys are partners in a business. That is really difficult to have going for you, is when you have partners in a business, because you both have different ideas. You have both different things. So he had two other business partners, and they were all brought in at the same time he was starting it. And it was figuring out how they could work together and how that all worked out. And so there's a lot of stuff that I run across that could help you, or you can help me. And that's why I think it's important to be connected. And that's why I like, and we brought the person who brought about Steve Sims to you. You can tell me later, but there's a reason, is because he's connected to so many people from what he used to do, his concierge service. I mean, he did it for billionaires and whatever. He's like, I got to a point where they're just, you know, checking a box, and it was boring. I love working with entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why partnerships exist. And I feel very lucky to have Shelby as a partner, because I think we are in a lot of ways very like-minded, but at the same time we have different aspects that we excel in. So she's very patient with me. I'm like the ADD kid. I have all these ideas and I can't contain it. And she's like, okay, we're going to take this. She's a little more organized, a little better with the table.
She's got the jacket on.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know what? This is my podcast jacket. One time we did a podcast. I wore a blazer. I watched the pack. I'm like, I'm never not wearing a blazer on a podcast. This is fire. So.
Actually, I was like remembering high school with your T-shirt. So.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Well, you gotta do the t-shirt blazer combo. So it's like casual yet professional.
Yeah. See,
It's
what
like
I learned to do black T-shirts because I did did 5 in one day, and then for the next 5 weeks I saw the same T-shirt and it had a saying on it, and I'm like, okay, that's never going to happen again. And I wondered why Steve Sims wore black T-shirts all the time, right? Because everybody in my industry were like, "You're going to wear a suit and all this stuff." I'm like, no, that's not me. And he goes, because I do so much video, if you do it, you can do 10 in a row or whatever, and nobody knows when you actually film them. I was like, that's the smartest thing. Because I actually started doing like wardrobe changes, right? In between all my other videos, different shirts. Because I really enjoy, I'm a vet, so I want to support veteran groups, and I always used to show that on my things. Well, it got to a point where, did I wear this too long ago? Or, no, it's like, it's not worth it anymore.
And black shirts are good for the sweaty pits. So
they are.
Oh, I don't have that problem. It actually makes you slimmer. It makes you slimmer. That's my problem. As you can tell. Anyway, anything else? I mean, this was about you guys and what you're doing, because I think we need more professionals doing the commercials like yourself, right? But we need them funny, and we need different things. And so I want to thank you for coming on the show and explaining what you do. How do people get in contact with you if they want you to do their commercials?
Yeah. Well, they can go to our website, which is just take2content.com with the number 2. And our emails, both of us are on there. We also have a YouTube channel, which is also Take 2 Content. We're on Instagram. So you can DM us, you can email us.
And for our YouTube, we haven't started doing it yet, but we are going to incorporate tips and tricks and more behind the scenes and that kind of thing. So you can get a more of a real glimpse into what we do.
Yeah, you guys should do a playlist of all the mistakes all the way through.
Oh, we really should.
We have some of our comedy videos that always excel.
Well, what I love about YouTube now is all the playlists you can do, right? Because I have so many different ones, but then I have one I haven't posted of my co-host on the radio, how many mistakes she makes. Right. And so it's like a whole roll of that, and my guys keep up compiling it and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
See, that's the good stuff.
We do love bloopers that we used to do. We also have a channel that has sort of all of our comedy stuff on it. And she was actually really good about doing blooper reels whenever we would do a shoot. And those got me good.
Now, that comedy stuff, do you guys have it on Take 2 also?
We have some on the website. We have a section.
No, I'm talking on your YouTube channel.
Oh, we have two different YouTube channels. So I think if you just search my name, which is Shelby Dash on YouTube, our comedy channel will come up, and then Take 2 has all of our branded stuff. But on the website, we also do have some of our comedy videos.
Because you could do a playlist under
your
business, and then that way you get connected, so people know who you were, and when you find one, then you can go to the other one.
Yes,
that's good. We're gonna do that today. Actually, we have a pitch, so we may not be able to do that today, but tomorrow we're gonna do it.
All right, Shelby and Kristina, thank you so much for being on the show today. Anything you want to add before I go? Where you go, we go.
Yeah, I would just say to anybody out there listening, if you have a brand or a business, or you're just promoting yourself, don't be afraid to take those risks, those comedy risks.
Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to do some content that's outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
That unless you're doing it yourself and you're not funny.
Yeah.
Right. Get a professional who is funny to do the comedy risk for you. Don't you do it. Yeah. Because sometimes what people think is funny is not funny to other people.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. And if you guys want to reach out to them, comment. If you didn't get how to get to them, it will be in the notes on the podcast. So thank you so much for being here. And again, it was a blast.
Yeah, thank you so much.